All right, we are back with none other than trusted expert Nate Kleberg. He is a college and career navigator, but he really focuses on helping kids figure out not just what they want to do, but why they want to do it so that they have a successful and happy career. And so we just had a really good conversation in Parent Tween Connection, and now we're here in Parent Tween Village. We're talking about helping our kids build their networks and why it's so important and how to help them build their network while they're still in high school and college. Where do we even start?
Well, I think we forget that we know people and we're related to people that have been in the world and have done some things, and maybe you don't necessarily want to get their advice, just like we talked on our previous session about, you don't really want to listen to your parents. What do they have to say? What do they know? But there are other people out there that can do that. So, the biggest excitement I get in the work that I've done, I think no matter what industry or my job title was or what, is when I can connect somebody to someone that's going to help them. And, that might be finding somebody who's going to help find someone to help fix somebody's RV who blew a tire and, ripped everything up. If that might be,
wow, where'd you get that
soon.
idea?
Might be too soon. I don't know. So, trying to find a connection there, but, I did a Zoom session with a CAPS program in Northwest Iowa. And there was a girl got on there, and I was going around the room and say, what job are you looking to get right now? And she wanted to get into social media marketing for a sports team. And I went, okay. And then as you're going along, I said, well, where are you going to school? And she said, well, I'm going to South Dakota State. And I said, you know what? The athletic director there is a really good friend of mine. And if you send me an email, and I kept saying, if you send me an email, I will connect you to, and possibly could result in an internship for you next fall. Sure enough, within a few days, I had an email from Lila at MOC Floyd Valley that I'm going to connect. I reached out to my friend. He's going to give me some connections of where she should follow. But I got to know her over that hour span of her interest and her I guess I'll call her colleagues, but her classmates.
Sure.
And we developed a relationship. So I felt like, okay, she's actually doing some stuff. Let me at least open the door and see where she's going to go with it. I never say, I'm going to get you that job or I'm going to get you the internship. Sure. I'm going to set you up for possibility of at least probably getting an interview. But that's an example of, okay, who do I know that I can connect you with as a student to learn some more? So, I'm working with a student right now that was on a pathway. I think it was automotive or engineering, and just didn't quite follow that path. Going through my process and some personality assessments, some deeper conversations, this user experience designer came up. And so I started going through my digital Rolodex that's called LinkedIn and everywhere else. And I think, okay, who do I know? And I come across two people, and I'm like, because he started asking me questions about it that I couldn't just fake my way through on Google. And I said, you know what? Let's bring somebody in for you to ask some deeper questions and what the process is. There's some good ways to meet some people, learn how to do things, and I think right now many schools are really advocating to do job shadows, and I think they mean well. It sounds good that we're doing these job shadows, but I wouldn't want somebody to come watch me work. And Clarissa, I'm sure you're in the same boat, because we do this. We sit on a computer and we're talking to people or writing emails, and it's not really showing you anything. Like if you came and watched me change out an alternator or put a new water heater in, or I don't know,
fix the hydraulic line on an RV.
Yeah, just by chance, just for example.
Right.
So I would rather have, how can we get you connected to somebody to have a career conversation, as I call them, or a career discovery meeting, that you have formulated questions for this individual. Maybe you've done some research on them, and you come in, tell me about your work. What do you like doing? What is it about your work that you like? What don't you like? How did you get there? Would you do it again? Are there other jobs out there within this industry that I maybe should be paying more attention to? Going back to that stat of 70% of the jobs by 2035 don't exist yet. there may be something coming up that, an engineer or an architect or enter job here in this blank is coming up through that
Mhm.
maybe isn't even on anybody's radar yet, but they're seeing the evolution between artificial intelligence,
Mhm.
between higher automation or geographies or economies or whatever, that there's roles being created to get into whatever it happens to be and trying to
Sure.
figure out what that process is. So, the hope is you're building this social capital, that you are developing this relationship, you're creating this professional network, and you might be a 17-year-old kid or an 18-year-old kid, but down the line, as you're coming through, if you can kind of maybe stay in contact with them, you're on LinkedIn. I would advise high school students, it's not too early to get a LinkedIn profile. Does
Mhm.
it have to be perfect? No, it needs to be started. You can start adding to it as you go along and keep evolving.
Sure.
But you start following
Absolutely.
along these people that you're getting connected to professionally through LinkedIn, and maybe you're learning some things, you're liking their posts, you're making comments on it. Fast forward 5 years from now, you know, little Dawson was a high school senior and did a career discovery meeting with a user design owner of a company, and a
Mhm.
job comes open, and he reaches out and said, "I've just graduated and doing this, interested in this job. Do you remember me?" And the kid would be like, "Yeah, I remember you. I see you comment on my LinkedIn things every now and then.
Mhm.
Yeah, shoot me your resume. Let's see what we can do." You
Yeah.
know, could that happen? It could happen. Uh, you have more chance of it happening uh, to be successful if you've already had done that process, had connected a relationship, had nurtured over that time period
Sure.
to get set up to do something. But if you just
Well,
never did it, you're never going to have a
yeah.
chance.
There are also a lot of industry specific groups on LinkedIn that you can go be a part of. Like, you don't have to show that you have a degree in XYZ in order to go join the group and learn. And that's a
Right.
great way to not only build your network of people, but when you see that they're hosting events, you can attend their events online. And I can say from personal experience, just in the last couple of weeks, we hosted a workshop for trusted experts. We brought a coach in. And of everybody who showed up, there was one attendee who was very active, very engaged, very participatory. And the coach came back to me later and was like, "Hey, do you think this person is interested in participating? I'll give you both a 25% discount." And it was a pretty low cost of entry to start with. But like, just showing up, being visible, like you're saying, reaching out to folks, going, "Hey, I want to learn about your industry, or I want to learn about your job," and taking that initiative on their end, it absolutely helps a student stand out, without question.
Yeah, I think there's two avenues right now. It's rare that I come across somebody who says they're not interested in doing it, and if they don't do it, it's most likely because they don't have the time to do it,
Mhm.
because there's scheduling conflicts or the immediacy of wanting to try and get them connected to somebody. But it doesn't mean they aren't interested. And the other side of it is workforce is such a challenge right now in so many industries. There are so many
Mhm.
companies, human resource offices, things like that want their employees, that want their people to get engaged in connecting with students, getting connected in education to try and help build that workforce pipeline. So,
Mhm.
the opportunities are out there to try and find people in those worlds. But, going back to, the key thing of where do you start in this is trying to figure out, okay, what is the work I'm wired for? Going through a process, learning more about yourself, what opportunities are out there. And then, the big thing when I go through my pathway to purpose process, we're trying to figure out what that job is. The key thing is, well, why are you interested in that? What are you drawn to
Mhm.
it in? And then what is the education or training? Where do you go and how do you get that? But the biggest point in there, I always say is, well, who can you get connected with to learn more about it?
Yep.
And they're like, well, I don't even know. Okay. This is where, again, going back to durable skills, thank you, America Succeeds. Durable skills is okay. How do we start working around the people we know? Maybe it's our friend groups, maybe it's our
Mhm.
teachers and their connections,
Mhm.
parents, family, neighbors, coaches. You start looking and asking somebody, does anybody know an architect I could talk to? Okay, well, someone's going to know an architect. It may not be an immediate connection, but they know somebody or went to school with somebody or whatever. And just saying, could you connect me with them? And it might be an
Mm-hmm.
introductory call or an email or whatever, but we forget that people know people who know
Mm-hmm.
people who know people. And how do you use
Absolutely.
that? How do you use that Kevin Bacon chain to try and find some connections that can start opening your eyes, opening your ears, opening your heart and your mind to what
Mm-hmm.
could be out there for you that you maybe haven't thought about before. But also, if
Right.
there's things you have thought about, it goes the other way too. You might talk to that engineer that you thought you wanted to be engineer, and you went, they just sit at their desk all day and they seem miserable. I worked with a student once who was pre pharmacy, was going to graduate, senior, went and job shadowed pharmacist. Pharmacist turned out to be his dad. Came home or came back to class, said, I don't want to do that. I think my dad's depressed. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, it was, I think the kid liked the lifestyle they lived and saw that it was a steady job and he knew the pathway because he knew somebody in it, but he didn't know what the job was.
Right.
And he ended the year feeling like a failure, unfortunately, because his plan was all set up. It was all but wrapped up and shipped, and he had to start over. But we
Mm-hmm.
celebrated that. We celebrated that because he could have been pre-med junior at University of Iowa and realized it wasn't for him, and he goes in a whole different direction. Let's
Mm-hmm.
try and do this now at 17, 18 and see how we can help minimize some of those obstacles along the way. I get
Sure.
asked along the way, how soon should we start talking to students about this? And America's Students Assistance is ASA is a big nonprofit out there that they're doing a big push right now for career exploration with middle school students, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something in my day job with the CAPS Network we're trying to explore as well. And it doesn't have to be as intense like we're talking here with high school juniors and seniors, but it goes
Sure.
back to having those conversations, bringing in speakers, doing some junior conversations or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just to explore, or even Googling what a job is and what the pathways are.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about. It comes back to the whole conversation on this of building a professional network. You're meeting people along the way. I can think back to when I was a high school punk, I guess. I don't know if I was a punk. I feel like I maybe was, but with junior achievement was a thing. And I remember
Yep.
there was like a banker, an investment professional. There was a couple other people, a guy that owned a chicken hatchery owner there or manager. They came and were building relationships with us, and I talked to those guys for many years through college or through high school and my time coming back from home from college. And I'm still connected to some of them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I was building professional relationships then. I didn't know it. I was,
Right.
but
Sure. Well,
you
and
also end up
that was
finding
also
people
before
who,
Link.
yeah,
It's before
yeah,
LinkedIn was the thing
yeah,
for us.
yeah,
But go ahead.
uh, yeah. LinkedIn was crossing each other on the street or seeing each other, at the ball diamond or whatever. That was getting connected. But yeah, it's finding those people out there that also see something in you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not just you're trying to get something from them, but they're also trying to get something from you by the
Sure.
mentorship or helping you find some opportunities, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
People are
Awesome.
everywhere, it
So
turns out.
for sure. So you're
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is, like, to kind of wrap it up for folks and for the parents and the kids who may be tuning in. LinkedIn, it's never too early to get on LinkedIn. I will put a plug in to say to students, be aware of what you post on social, not just on LinkedIn, but everywhere. Because yes, today colleges and employers do search for you. They will see all of your shenanigans. Just beware.
And they do
But
figure out your
also,
fake names.
yes, they do. They're good like that, especially employers. Especially employers.
Yes.
But then also show up to things, ask questions, ask people, who do you know who, and ask for introductions, ask for connections, because it's never too early. There's a saying that we in the entrepreneurial world probably know a little bit better of, your network is your net worth. And there's another book that I've read that was entitled "It's Who, Not How." That the who you engage with is so much more important than how you do your job or even how well you do your job. It's the people that connect you places. So what I'm hearing is LinkedIn for the virtual version, and then just show up and speak up and ask for introductions are probably the two most important things teenagers can do.
Because the big thing right now, that question, that high school seniors are very close to the end here of graduating, and then juniors are right there too. And sophomores will hear this a little bit. What are you doing next year? And
Hmm.
going through that process, I want them to say, for example, yeah, I'm actually I want to be an architect because I really love design and coming up with new things. And one of my favorite buildings is X.
Hmm.
I'm going on to Iowa State University, major in architect, but I'd love to get connected to an architect or someone in that field. Do you know anybody
Hmm.
who you could introduce me to? So right there in 40 seconds, I told you what
Yep.
I'm planning to do, why I'm going to do it, where I'm hoping to go. And if somebody says, you know what? My cousin went to architecture school at Iowa State too. He's in Richmond, Virginia right now. He just got done designing some federal building. Yeah, I want to
Hmm.
get you connected to him. Okay, okay. And the next key thing in there is when I say who, it's okay, when are you going to do this? So it's like, okay,
Hmm.
can I send you an email to get his email so we can get rolling on this? Otherwise, I'm just getting passing. Yeah, I know somebody. Okay,
Yep.
well, what are you going to do about it? So
Ooh,
that's where
I
you have to
really
be
like that.
proactive. You got to be proactive
Well,
with it, set a timeline.
and I like that you personally, when you were engaging with a student who wanted to go in the sports social media, that you were like, hey, you need to send me the email because that's putting
Yeah.
the onus on them, which really that's where it should be,
Yeah.
right? It's
Don't
not
send
on
me
you to make
don't
this
send me your
introduction.
email to then send you an email. No. You send me the email what you're looking for, or tell
Hmm.
me your email on the phone. No, you need to go through that professional process because it's only going to pay
Sure.
dividends for you down the line.
And tell me your perspective on email addresses. This
is
probably
this where
shouldn't
you're,
be
is
like
this where you're going? You
high
should
school,
be sexy19 at hotmail.com, something
right?
like that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
probably.
using your
What's your
name,
recommendation? Yeah.
using your names. Don't use hyphens or underscores. I hate the underscore. I really do. But
So then
yeah,
what if it's something where
keep it
somebody's
simple.
name is a pretty common name though? Like Clarissa Constantine, like that's pretty easy, right? Like that's a pretty unique name. But like Joe Smith, I actually know a Joe Smith. He's not getting Joe Smith at Gmail or at Yahoo or whatever,
I
right?
think if
Like
you
what's
say
the
if you say
recommendation
Joe,
there?
yeah, you say Joe Smith, and if you want to put numbers or you want to put your middle number, but I suppose make sure the number is appropriate. That it doesn't have some hidden meaning. Maybe it was your football number. Maybe it was the year you were
Sure.
born. Maybe it's your favorite number. No one's going to question that. You're going to see a Joe Smith 44. Okay, that
Hmm.
was his football number.
Sure.
Okay, that I think that's going to be fine when you look
Sure.
at it. Or if you're doing Joe.Smith or Joseph.Smith, there's different
Sure.
variations you're going to see. But
Right.
Sexy Pal 64 at
Right.
Hotmail, yeah, you might want to rethink that. It
Right.
sounds fun right now, just like the Lamborghini, but you still have to deal with it down the line.
Exactly. Awesome. All right, Nate, thank you as always. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for what you do for students and for families. It's invaluable. And I'm just thrilled to have you in our network.
Well, the professional network pays off for being a part of that professional network, and you
Mhm.
have supported my business and helping me get connected to quite a few people around the country that I've been able to support their students and help them give confidence with those young people moving forward.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. If you've got any questions, if you'd like to reach out to Nate in case you didn't catch our earlier conversation, his website is very simply www.nateclayberg.com. And you're also Nate Clayberg on Instagram as well, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, LinkedIn is where I spend a lot of time. On Twitter,
sure.
Instagram. I do Facebook as well. Probably should do more of it because that's probably where the
Right.
audience is going.
Yeah.
But yeah, reach out. I'd love to talk. Free 20-minute call. Just go to my website. We'll book that, and we'll see how I can help.
And Nate also has a fantastic self-paced exploration program that's kind of a precursor to his customized, personalized coaching that members of Parent Tween Village actually get a discount on. So if you don't have the link to that, please reach out to me at Clarissa at Parent Tween connection.com and I'll get you hooked up. So thank you so much, Nate, and have a great evening, everybody.
All right.